Hello guys, Erica Hargaden here, certified child sleep consultant with my private practice Babogue. I am the creator of the Sleep Series, which is an online sleep program, all video based, around my 7 steps to better sleep. And I'm a mum of 3, so there's very little that I haven't seen on the sleep front, and I am struggling today. This was recorded during COVID-19 and working from home has been a challenge, and I think this is my 4th time to try and record this. So here it goes. I promised you guys I would come on to talk about resistance to sleep and fighting sleep and why you might be experiencing this around your little one's sleep. I kind of have some key things that I feel really feed into this. One being sleep capability. You maybe are currently putting a lot into getting your child to go to sleep. Maybe your child is kind of 9, 12 months plus, and you have been rocking, rolling, feeding, patting, and putting a lot into getting your child to go to sleep, and it's been working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's been working. But unfortunately, sometimes the older your child gets, the more and more effort you need to put into this. And really, the more and more your child resists sleep, gets overtired, which I will touch on, and then finds it more and more difficult to fall asleep. So really sleep skills and sleep capability come into effect there, and maybe putting in place a plan to allow your child get to grips with their own sleep skills. And that's something that I cover off in a lot of detail in the sleep series. Also, overtiredness is a really, really key factor in resistance of sleep. Basically, children generally fall within biological parameters when it comes to how long they can stay awake between sleeps. Now, there is always anomalies to this. There's always children who can't stay awake quite as long as the recommendations, and always children who can stay awake longer than the recommendations. So that's why a lot of trial and error comes into the establishing of what suits your own child. And I definitely am an advocate for that. But if you miss maybe your child's window, then what happens is the cortisol levels in their body continue to rise. And cortisol can have an effect on the body which is similar to adrenaline and nearly make them feel like they're wired. But it also fights with melatonin, and melatonin is the sleepy hormone which helps you initiate sleep. So therefore their body is fighting with itself in terms of being able to fall asleep, and the resistance comes into play. So trying to get the right routine in place around your child's napping schedule that helps you avoid overtiredness at naps and at bedtime is key. But also so is undertiredness. This can have an effect on resistance to sleep, and this really comes into play when your child kind of gets over and above maybe the 12 months of age, because they might be shifting and evolving into maybe 1 nap a day, and things they can stay awake for longer. So recognizing my child's actually not tired enough going to bed, that can be a key factor in why there is resistance to sleep. This can really come into play with toddlers, where maybe, yes, they're still napping during the day, but they're not tired enough then at bedtime, and maybe a bedtime needs to be adjusted, not necessarily that the nap needs to be dropped. That can be factors. Also, developmental issues can come into play around resistance to sleep, like separation anxiety. Separation anxiety can be an issue around sleep around 9 months and also around 18 months, I find. That children really get like very attached to obviously parents, and that kind of whole developmental thing of, are you coming back, are you not coming back, comes into play. So separation anxiety, developmental stages. I'm sure a lot of you are using certain apps around leaps, and understanding that different developmental milestones and stages can bring with them kind of blips around sleep and create resistance around sleep. So recognizing that maybe a baby's routine needs a slight adjustment, or maybe this is a blip and I need to ride it out without creating another association that needs to be factored out. Those kind of things need to be looked at. Also, your baby's sleep environment is massive in terms of resistance to sleep. If we're expecting children to sleep in bright environments like I'm sitting in right now, it's really, quite honestly, unrealistic. Melatonin, the sleepy hormone, needs darkness for it to do its job. So to help you and your child initiate and maintain sleep. So trying to make sure that things are dimmed down, things are as dark as possible, and also that where they sleep, their consistent place of sleep is, factoring in and comfortable for them at the stage they're at. So making sure that where a child is too big for a co-sleeper is moved to a cot, which I would recommend around 4 months. That's important. Also, are they beyond the stage of needing to be swaddled? That usually is around 8 weeks. A lot of people are using pods and positioners now, which are not safe sleep. Those things can make a child feel restricted in their sleep. So those things need to be looked at. So the things that I've kind of touched on there, like adjusting bedtime, looking at your napping routine. Also look at your milk and solids routine during the day. Is there enough time between those and sleep so that there isn't that sense of being full up to here going down to bed? Also making sure that you're trying to let your child gain their own sleep skills. So maybe a little bit of space and independence around it, obviously with a plan in place and obviously within your own parenting boundaries. So have a look of that. Your input. Do you need to actually fade down your input a bit to let your child go with it? Which I know is hard, because any change you make around what your child currently knows around sleep can bring frustration. And that's very, very hard for anybody to deal with. And that's why I'm very much an advocate of figuring out what you're comfortable with and what's within your family sleep goals, making a plan around it and putting it in place. So I hope you found that useful. If you want to learn more about me, check out babogue.com. Thanks a million.